You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Gemini season starts this week. Y'all up next, Gemini. Let's get into the astrology of the week. So, yesterday, May 18th, we had Mercury in Taurus make a square to Mars in Leo. Our mental faculties coming into a little tension with our assertion and how we stand on business about something. And that's kind of setting the tone for the week. We are deep into this fire and air energy. So a lot of thoughts, a lot of passion. We could feel really decisive, productive, a lot of ideas surging, and courage to take action on those desires. We also have this increased sense of pride and confidence to stand up for something, to stand up for our beliefs, to fight for something, to defend ourselves in some kind of way, and, just to stand on business if we need to, which could have us in a tense, conflicting situation with someone where we have a difference of opinion. We could find ourselves defending our points of view, a decision, how we feel about something, how we see something, and in this convincing energy to the point where we get upset at somebody else and it could be like a little tense or it could be hostile. If you do come up against some of that type of energy, somebody doesn't see your vision, they don't understand the way that you do things, that is on them. That's their problem. If they don't agree with you, they don't have nothing to do with you. That's their business. We can let people have their own thoughts without feeling the need to convince anyone of anything that we got going on. As long as we have our own backs and validate ourselves, we definitely have the right to stand on what we stand for, regardless of what anybody else talking about. Also, this week we have Jupiter in Gemini, getting ready to go into Cancer, but still in those final degrees of Gemini, squaring the nodes of the moon. As we come into new energy, there is a transition happening. We are walking the forest of life. The roads are winding. It's looking dark. We don't know where we at. Like, we are in the wilderness and we have no idea what's next. Perhaps we've never been here before, or this way looks different. And that can be really terrifying when we feel like we don't know what's going to happen next. That's usually a time when we tend to slow down and run back to something familiar. We get very critical, attached to the outcome, the steps, to the plan, and we could be paralyzed in perfectionism and eventually self-sabotage where we don't take any action. So this transit between Jupiter squaring the north and the south node in Virgo and Pisces is encouraging us to not turn back, to keep walking north towards our north node where Pisces is, and to encourage the mind that it does not have all of the information yet, because we are always in collaboration with intuition and our divine spiritual team with God, and our intuition knows the whole way. We're giving steps, as we walk, not the whole thing, because then that will overwhelm the mind. And then we would try to change things and make things happen our own way. And that's not the fated plan. So instead of stressing or obsessing over what the next step is, what the plan is, allow yourself to rest and acknowledge all of the things that you have already accomplished, not resorting into any perfectionism, not going back to the things that feel comfortable. Keep walking forward and wait for the next step. Tomorrow, May 20th, we have the Sun in Taurus, sextiling Saturn in Pisces. This could be a very productive and practical task that we are being asked to remember, to take care of, to hold ourselves accountable for. And so to me, Saturn is like my cosmic grandmother. I feel like Saturn has very feminine energy, and maybe grandma is saying, come here, baby, let me talk to you about something, in a firm, loving way. Grandma, I love you now, but I see some things. You're out of alignment again. I see you eating some things you said you wasn't going to eat. I see you drinking a little too much. I see you scrolling. I thought you said you was going to go to sleep at a certain time and honor your sleep schedule. Grandma noticed you've been on the phone, baby. I see that you keep jumping out of your boat to go help other people and your boat is leaning. You got them cheering in that boat now. And so you got to tend to your own. And so grandma is holding us accountable and saying, you need to make a practical decision and you need to remember your discipline. The things that you said you wanted, there is a certain order you want to honor, and sometimes that is just as simple as go to bed at night, don't eat the cookies, let's journal, right? Holding on to the things we said we wanted for ourselves and holding ourselves accountable with something. And this could just be as simple as don't forget to water them plants. earth energy, water energy. You forgot to water the plants. If you want plants to not die, you got to water them. Don't forget to go get the oil change. Hey, don't forget to make that appointment because you didn't make it last week and you know that you're going to have some off days coming up. Make that appointment. Go get them tires rotated. Something like that. Later on that evening, the sun is going to go into Gemini. Y'all up next. Y'all up next with the double-minded self. Flip-flopping. Flip-flopping, huh? Okay. I love y'all little Geminis. Y'all, my besties. Be some Geminis, okay? There's a lot of Gemini energy around me. I love this for us. I mean, we've been through some really hard, trying months. So this is giving us some big energy, some flirty energy. It's fun, it's chatty. We making jokes. This is good vibes, day parties, it's pools, networking, talking about cool stuff, collaborating, we vibing. It's gonna be a very social summer and abundant summer. I feel like there's something good in store for all of us. This week is really high vibe. I'm really feeling it. Definitely a lot of fire and a lot of air energy. If you are feeling overwhelmed and anxious and overstimulated, don't forget to check out and ground that energy. We still want to honor the body and ground when the body needs us to ground so that we can hear the messages and the next steps that we need. On May 22nd, we have Venus in Aries trining Mars in Leo. So this is steamy, fiery. This is it's productive, sensual. So Mars is the homeowner of the sign of Aries, right? And Venus is at the house of Aries. She got her spin a night bag. She's been in there for a couple of weeks and what have you. She has some work to do and she has learned a lot. She's got a lot of wisdom under her belt, this season and this cycle. So while Mars has been away handling his own journey, family, karmic lineage stuff, dealing with some business stuff. So it's nice that Venus is holding the house down in Aries for him. But they on a little FaceTime right now. And Venus is the principle of attraction. When Venus is in her energy and her essence, she points her hips and says that I want it. And then the universe like, you got it, because she is the law of attraction. What she desires, she calls it to her. But when Venus is in Aries, she's a little independent. Okay, ain't nothing wrong with it, but she's a warrior. But she's learning. She doing her thing. She asking for help. She's saying what she wants. She a little bossy though. But Venus in Aries is gonna always be bossy. Give her a minute. That's just not gonna go away. But she is asking for help. She's asking. She's not just taking things and just doing it on her own. So she is in desire. Venus is like, I want it now. I want adventure. I want action. I want roses. I want a date. And she at her man's house and she's like, what's up? I need you to come get me because I want to do all of these things. I want you to do them for me. I want something. And Mars is the principle of action. And Mars is the energy of how you go after the things you want, how you get the things you want, how you stand up for yourself, the courage that you have, the leadership that you exude, all those things. And Mars and Leo is that guy. He is a boss. He's cute. He smells good. He's romantic. He got swag. And so Mars and Leo is like, I mean, you can have whatever you want when you with me, okay? And baby, my husband is a Mars and Leo, so I know it's true, baby. So this week, we can have the courage to call those things that we desire and ask that they be given to us and then take action when that opportunity arises. Some of us are going to have some opportunities to really show somebody what we got and to really step out of there and be magnetic and be powerful and be just on fire. Some of us got the audacity this week to go for what we want. We're feeling really passionate about something right now, we're ready to take action, or maybe this is you trying to shoot your shot, or telling your man, I want to go on a date. I'm tired of waiting to see if you're going to take me. I want you to take me on a date and this is where I want to go. And then that energy will respond with, you put it out there, so I'm going to make it happen. Shake's bringing the ball of boys to the yard, okay? But yeah, it's giving fun and flirty in Gemini season. Also on May 22nd, we have the sun in Gemini, sextiling Neptune and Aries. This is a good day to help someone else out, to have conversations that are encouraging. Some of us are in a transition, so things can feel a little scary. Like I said, things can feel a little uncertain. And so maybe this is a coaching session ease the mind a little bit. A therapy session, a supportive ear, and somebody who's holding the line for us, holding space for us, meeting us with compassion, and also dropping some gems and giving us some wisdom about some things that we haven't realized and maybe we are beginning to realize about our goals and our futures and how they could be changing. And a lot of us could be receiving messages and dreams and really tapping into, this spiritual wisdom about what's next for us and holding space for that. So then Saturday, May 24th, we have the sun in Gemini making a trine to Pluto and Aquarius. I told you it was going to be real social and real chatty this week. And I mean, really all through Gemini season, it's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of conversations, link ups, a lot of connects. So this is a very beautiful energy, with Pluto and Aquarius and Gemini, all the air going on. So very chatty and a lot of conversations, big cosmic conversations. This is a really good energy for bouncing ideas off someone that could take something to the next level. And some of the transformations in our lives are beginning to make sense. And, some of us are receiving this is that intuition and that cosmic divine order giving us the next step. Bam, we got the next step dropped in our lap. We ready to walk. We're like, okay, cool. And we're feeling a little confident and secure about some things this week because of that. So this is giving a surge of confidence for us to take a leadership position on something, for us to step out and be seen and be on the scene. And this is a really good time to make a good impression on somebody. So if you have a company picnic, or if you are trying to audition for a breakout role, or you have an interview, or you have a meeting with some people and there's some deals on the line, this is really, really good energy to make a lot of those things happen and for something to work out really good for somebody. So it's up from here. And also on the 24th, this Saturday, we have Mercury conjunct Uranus and Taurus. So this is also very magical. These are like ideas that just drop into your lap. Once again, the intuition and the divine is saying, here's the next step. I got you. I told you I had you, right? So this could be sudden business opportunities, hearing something in the media or in real life that is surprising, that is shocking. This is also like maybe divine intervention in some way. But on the other hand, this is a little hasty and destabilizing because Mercury is how we speak and think, it's communication. And Uranus is the great liberator. It is something that comes to bust us out of any stagnancy or to liberate us in some way. So there could be something that we heard, or there could be something that we feel like we need to address, and something is going to be said this week. Something has been told to us, or maybe we are just tired of somebody saying a specific thing or trying to tell us what to do. And we're going to say it. And we're going to say exactly how we feel. And we don't give a shit who hears it because it needed to be said. And we're going to be honest about it. And it might have another person like, oh, but it needed to be said. And it's our truth. And we are not walking in anybody's lane. We are walking in our own lane, which is what that Uranus energy is about, connected to that Aquarius vibe. How can we bust out of anybody else's expectations, anybody else's box, and we walk in our true authenticity? But just a word of caution, we do want to avoid making hasty, half-cocked decisions and statements because that energy moves very fast. Uranus will cause the mind to move extremely fast. So that's why we can have these amazing light bulb ideas, these ingenious, inventive ideas, but we can also say some things and be real loud and wrong. And that's just not the vibe for Gemini season. This is fun. This is flirty. We willing to learn some new things. We want to learn and we want to be curious and we want to stay open. And so we don't want to put our foot in our mouth and, come off as stubborn and hard-headed. So we want to think something through, look at the fine print, run it in our heads a couple of times before we say it. We're walking in discipline and maturity in this season. So we're just not going to say the first thing that comes off our head, even if somebody got us messed up. We're not going to do that. Okay? We know better. And we definitely ain't trying to mess up the money. Oh, also, May 24th, the big event of maybe the year, but definitely the week. Saturn is finally leaving Pisces and moving into Aries, where he's going to immediately meet Neptune. So this is the first time that Saturn's been in Aries for about, 29 years, late 90s. That's the last time that Saturn was in Aries. So if you're old enough, think about what was happening in the 90s because we're revisiting something kind of similar to that time. And Saturn's going to be in Aries for the next 3 years with a small retrograde back into Pisces in July to handle something. But what this is signifying is that we are getting serious about wherever we have Aries in our lives. Whatever part of our charts Aries is in, that's what we're getting serious about. We're reorganizing something. Something is going to pivot completely or change. Something is going a completely different way because it's out of alignment. It's not our soul's path. And there is something that we feel called to. And then we're going to get really serious about that when Saturn moves into Aries. And we're going to get something structured for the long term so we can have long term success. So we're reorganizing and restructuring our lives. And some of these old structures, mindsets, beliefs, habits are going to go away. So this could be in your career house, your health and wellness house, mental health, home, kids, wherever you have Aries at, right? But wherever you have Aries at, you're being asked to lock in and get something in order because we're taking something to the next level and we're not going to just be staying in this spot, or you're going to have a lot of internal suffering at your own hands, if you try to resist that Aries energy does not really like Saturn style, and Saturn don't really like Aries style because Aries is like, if I want to do something, I want to do it. I want to go for it. I don't want to have to ask anybody. Like, I want it. I see that I want it. It's kind of like when your baby goes to the store, they're like, I want that toy. They don't care about how much it costs. They don't care about the logistics. They want it. And Saturn is that elder, that parental figure that's like, we got to have a plan. Do we have a plan for something? And so they don't really get along. There's going to be a need for balance between these two energies. And if there isn't balance, and if there is a need to forge ahead or a desire to override that, you're going to have to do something over again. Something's just not going to work. It's not going to work out. So there is a slow and steady wins the race type of energy to this situation. And it's setting you up over the next 3 years so that something could thrive and be long-term legacy type success. So Saturn is asking us to take accountability and to stop trying to rush ahead on something. It's not time to go fast and furious anymore in this particular area in life. There are no shortcuts to be sufficient, and to get this thing to run smoothly, you have to go through the process. And that's what Saturn wants us to know, to be disciplined and know that hard work and discipline and to have a process is going to pay you off exponentially. So we're pacing ourselves. Pacing ourselves will be our superpower, and we will really need to practice discipline and hold ourselves accountable and be responsible so that we can take that slow and steady path to get ahead. So there's going to be some balance, and we want to pay attention to how we lead and ego dynamics, because there is going to be the need to take leadership. We're going to be shifting into a more courageous and responsible leadership position in some area of life. If you have a cardinal rising sign being Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn rising, you're going to feel this unmistakably. It's going to be a theme of your identity and body, your career and reputation, home, family, emotional foundation, or relationships and partnerships. And I say rising signs because this is the energy that's on the angles. And anything on the angles is speaking loudly and profoundly in your life. But everybody has an Aries part of life, and everybody's going to feel some kind of shift and some type of need to take responsibility in a particular area. And that is all I have for this episode. But I just want to encourage everyone that we are all on this journey, our own path in the forest of life, and we get to pause and step. When we rush the process and we just rely only on our own minds, we end up in a detour because our minds only know what the intuition is allowing it to know. And we get to rest and understand that the next step is going to come when the intuition drops it, when God drops it, when our divine spiritual team delivers that to us. We're not lagging behind. We are partnering with the realms that we can't see. So I hope that this episode found you well. If you want to know a little bit more about how that Saturn in Aries is playing out in your life, you can always book a reading with me. We can talk about it. We can talk about all the other stuff that's going on too, because it's all connected. And if you would, please like, share, subscribe. And can y'all comment who you are, who's watching. I want to know you guys. I see that there are followers and there are people who are listening, but I want to know who you are so I could say hey and, just know who is in my audience. So I hope you have a great week and y'all be well. Bye. You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast.